After the impeachment trial is over, 45 is still facing dozens of ongoing lawsuits. Although the Senate is all but uncertain to acquit 45 in his impeachment trial, he still faces dozens of investigations into his administration, his family, and his businesses that could be resolved before the 2020 election. Democrats Democrats have been making their case for days now as to why 45 should be convicted and removed from office, alleging that he abused his power by pressuring the Ukrainian government to investigate former Vice President Joe Biden for personal gain. If the truth doesn't matter, we are at a loss, said Representative Adam Schiff, the leading Democrat on impeachment. Made it a plea to senators on Thursday. The framers of the Constitution couldn't protect us from ourselves if right and truth don't matter, and you know that what he did was not right. Meanwhile, lawmakers will hear 45's defense as the squatter's legal team will take the podium on Saturday to begin advocating his full of shit innocence in the dealings with Ukraine. But because we know that what 45 did wasn't innocent, it was wrong. They're expected to argue that the articles of impeachment are made up, which they're not, and that the Democrats rigged the process, which they didn't. As the arguments continue to play out, it's all but certain that 45 will be cleared of wrongdoing by the Senate. A 2/3 majority, 67 votes, is needed to remove a sitting squatter. Luckily for 45, Republicans control the Senate with the 53 to 47 majority. However, if 45 is acquitted, there are a number of legal disputes that could threaten his hold on the squadrency. Earlier this week, amid the impeachment trial, news broke that the Attorney General of the District of Columbia was suing 45's inaugural committee for abusing nonprofit funds. Here's a look at some of the ongoing investigations and lawsuits 45 faces heading into the 2020 election. For one, his administration. Since Democrats took over the House of Representatives in 2019, they launched several inquiries that could spell trouble for 45. Last year, House Democrats sent letters to 81 45 connected individuals and entities seeking records and testimony from the White House, as well as 45's business, charity, and family, as part of a broad inquiry into potential obstruction of justice and corruption charges. Over the last several years, 45 has evaded accountability for his near-daily attacks on our legal, ethical, and constitutional rules and norms. Democratic Representative Jerry Nadler said at the time, investigating these threats to the rule of law is an obligation to Congress. There's also the issue of the 45 administration's apparent violation of the Emolument Clause, which prohibits federal officials from receiving gifts from foreign or state governments without the consent of Congress. There are several lawsuits circulating in the lower courts that accuse 45 of failing to comply with this clause by profiting from domestic and foreign officials who visit his hotels and restaurants. Other noteworthy congressional investigations include 45's communication with Russian President Vladimir Putin and alleged abuses with the White House security clearance system and the squatter's tax returns. Business empire. Some of the most controversial lawsuits against 45 have to do with his business empire. The 45 organization is currently being investigated for alleged misuse of charitable assets and campaign finance violations. The company has also been accused of inflating financial assets for insurance and tax fraud schemes. The Supreme Court will also be taken on 3 cases regarding the squatter's financial records in 2020. One case involves a Manhattan district attorney investigating into the 45 organization's potential violations of New York law, such as improperly recording wealth estimates to avoid paying taxes or insurance. The other 2 cases involve subpoenas issued by House Democrats who are seeking records for the squatter, his children, and his businesses as part of investigations into possible conflicts of interest and foreign influence. Plus, officials in New York and New Jersey are looking into allegations that undocumented workers were employed at the squatters' golf clubs. At his Briarcliff Manor, New York club, undocumented employees said they were forced to work extra hours without pay. In 45's Bedminster, New Jersey resort, undocumented workers said they were given fraudulent green cards and other documents. Inaugural committee. Earlier this week, amid the impeachment trial, news broke that the Attorney General of Washington, D.C. was suing 45's inaugural committee over abusing their nonprofit funds. The lawsuit alleges that the committee coordinated with the 45 family to grossly overpay for event space at the 45 International Hotel during the squatter's 2017 inauguration. According to Attorney General Karl Racine, the committee wasted $1 million of charitable funds and overpayment for the space. He also accused 45 and his daughter wife Ivanka of being aware of the misuse of funds. The 45 organization immediately fired back, issuing a statement claiming the Attorney General's accusations are false, which they weren't, intentionally misleading and riddled with inaccuracies, which it wasn't. It also said that timing of this complaint reeks of politics and is a clear PR stunt. Federal prosecutors in New York are also looking into potential corruption involving 45's inauguration team. Investigators issued a wide-ranging subpoena to the committee last year, which showed that they were looking at everything from false false statements to mail fraud, wire fraud, conspiracy against the United States, and money laundering.